Hello students, welcome. My name is Arpit Porwal and I'm a mathematics educator. In today's session, we will be learning how to solve linear inequalities. We will also be looking at something called wavy curve method, which is a very efficient method to solve polynomial inequalities and the inequalities that involve rational functions. So let's begin the session. Let's look at the formal definition of an inequality. So an inequality is basically a mathematical expression in which we compare two algebraic expression or a algebraic expression and a numerical expression. So that's what we mean by an inequality. If on one side we have a linear term, there is one variable that we are dealing with and the degree is 1, then we call it a linear inequality, right? So here we have examples: x less than y. So that's an inequality. X is a variable, y is a variable. This here is an inequality that involves two variables. Both the terms are linear. Next one, 21 is less than or equals to c. Now this is another inequality. One side involves a numerical expression, the other side involves an algebraic expression. X square minus 5 is greater than equals to 4. Now if you look at LHS, this here is a quadratic expression. The right hand side is a numerical expression, correct? So this is not a linear inequality. The third one, the second one is actually a linear inequality. So we will be learning how to solve such inequalities. Before we move forward, let's talk about intervals. So what exactly are intervals? So intervals are basically a part of a line that lie between two given numbers. For example, this is the number line. Suppose we have A somewhere here and B somewhere here. So this particular region will be called the interval, right? So there are various types of intervals. We will be looking at each of them one by one. The first one in the list is an open interval. How do we denote an open interval? This is the notation. We put round brackets around A and B. Here one point that you must note is that A has to be less than B. The smaller number will be written on the left and the bigger number will be written on the right. Okay, so this represents all the points that lie between A and B on the number line, excluding A and B. When we are putting round brackets around A and B, that means we cannot include points A and B. This is how we can represent an open interval mathematically. A comma B contains all the numbers that lie between A and B, all real numbers, right? How do we represent such a situation where A and B are not included? So we'll plot a number line and the point which are not included, at those points we will draw hollow circles like this. So you can see this is A and this here is B. At both A and B we are drawing hollow circles. That means that point is not included in our interval, but everything that's between A and B, that's included. Now if someone asks what is the smallest number in this interval, we just do not know. What's the greatest number in this interval? That also we do not know. We can't find that, right? So let's now talk about closed intervals. What are closed intervals? Basically we include both A and B as well in our interval. So this is how we are going to represent a closed interval. A comma B, square brackets around A and B both, right? And this represents the numbers that lie between A and B, including both A as well as B, right? So if we want to write it in set builder form, what can we write? We will have to write X such that A is less than equals to X and X is less than equals to B. X can be equals to A, X can be equals to B, and it could be any number in between also. How do we denote it on number line? Instead of hollow circles, we are going to put solid circles this time. So this is A, this is B, both the points are included. So we are putting solid circles on both A and B. So if such a number line is given where you see solid circles on both the ends of the drawn line, you must understand that the endpoints are also included. If we talk about the smallest number that's present in this particular interval, that will be A. And what's the greatest number that's present in the interval? That will be the number B, right? Now there are two more types of interval which are basically combination of open and closed intervals. The first one in the list is semi-open, semi-closed interval. What's the meaning? One side we will have round brackets and on the other side we will have square brackets, right? For example, A comma B. Open bracket at A, closed bracket at B. What does this mean? A is not present in the set, but B is present in the set, right? So here A is excluded, but B is included. So in the set builder form, we can represent it as X such that A is strictly less than X, but B is greater than or equals to X. X can be equals to B, or it could be a number between A and B, but it cannot be equals to A. On the number line, how will we denote? We will put a hollow circle at A but a solid circle at B, like this. I hope this is clear. Let's now move on to semi-closed, semi-open interval, which is basically opposite of this. In that, we will be putting closed bracket at A and open bracket at B. So this is how we can represent it. This means A is included in the interval but B isn't, right? So in the set builder form, we can write it as X such that A is less than equals to X and X is less than B. That means X can be equal to A or any number between A and B, but it cannot be equals to the number B. On the number line, this time we are going to put a solid dot at A and a hollow dot at B. So this is A, that's B, right? So let us now move forward and take a look at a really important point. So the thing is that we will never put closed bracket or square brackets around plus infinity or minus infinity. Around plus infinity or minus infinity, we must always put open brackets only. That means we are supposed to put round brackets around infinity or minus infinity. For example, in case something like this, you see minus infinity to A, both the brackets are open. What does this mean? This means X is a number that is less than A. It can't be equal to A because there is no square bracket at A. Similarly, in case we put a square bracket at A, that means X can be equal to A also. X has to be less than A, but it could be equals to A. It might also be written A to infinity. In this case, X will be greater than A. Obviously, since there is a round bracket at A, that means A is not included. X cannot be equals to A. Now, we can put a square bracket at A. That will imply that X can be equals to A. So these are 4 more intervals that you will see in different questions. So remember the point that we will never be putting a square bracket or a closed bracket around infinity or minus infinity. Keeping these in mind, let's now look at some of the rules that we need to remember while solving a linear inequality. So the first one in the list is that an inequality doesn't change if you add or subtract a number from both its sides. What's the meaning? See, if we are given an algebraic equation, in that case, we can perform all sort of operations with it, right? You can add a number on both the sides, you can multiply a number on both the sides, you can divide or subtract a number on both the sides. The equation doesn't change, right? Similarly, if you add or subtract a number on both the sides of the inequality, it doesn't change. Let me give you an example. We all know 5 is less than 10. Right? Now, if you add 5 on both the sides, so this side will become 5 plus 5 and the other side will become 10 plus 5. So, this side is 10, the other side becomes 15. Obviously, 10 is less than 15, right? So, it is not changing at all, right? Similarly, someone might subtract 2 from both the sides. For example, 5 minus 2. This side will be 10 minus 2. 5 minus 2, 3, 10 minus 2, 8. So we can see that the sign of the inequation is not changing. Now let us take a look at a question. Let us say we need to solve the inequation 5x minus 7 is greater than equals to 18. This here is a linear inequation. On the left hand side we can see we have a linear term in x. On the right hand side we have a constant. So how do we solve it? We can add 7 on both the sides of this inequation. We know adding the same number doesn't affect the inequation. So this is what we will get. Now what does this side become? This becomes 5x, right? Minus 7 plus 7, they will cancel each other. That is greater than equals to 25, right? Now how do we solve it from here? For that we'll need the rule number 2. What's that? If we multiply or divide both the sides of the inequation by a positive number, then also it doesn't change, right? So this here is the keyword, the positive number. If you are multiplying or dividing by a positive number, the sign of the inequation is not going to change. Your inequation is not going to get affected. So let's now take a look at an example. We know 15 is less than 25, right? Now someone can multiply 2 on both the sides, right? 15 into 2, and the right hand side would be 25 into 2. 15 into 2, that is 30. 25 into 2, that is 50. Obviously 30 is less than 50. So you can see that the sign of the inequation is not changing when we are multiplying it by a positive number. In fact, the same will remain true if you divide it by a positive number. For example, you can divide both the sides by 5. 15 by 5. The RHS would be 25 by 5. 15 by 5, that is 3. 25 by 5, that is 5. Obviously 3 is less than 5. So again, the sign of the inequation remains the same. The inequation is not getting affected when we are dividing or multiplying by a positive number. That's the important point. So let's look at an example. Let us say this is the inequation that we want to solve. 5x is greater than equals to 25. Now obviously we can divide both the sides by 5, right? And in that case the sign of the inequation will not change because of the rule number 2. If we do that, what will we get? 5x upon 5 is greater than or equals to 25 by 5. 5x upon 5, that is equal to x. 25 upon 5, that is equal to 5. So what do we get? X is greater than or equals to 5. X can be any number greater than or equals to 5. You can substitute x is equal to 5. You get 25. Is 25 equals to 25? Yes, it is, right? Now you can substitute 5.1. 5.1 into 5, you get 25.5. That is also greater than 25, right? So if you choose a number greater than or equals to 5, it is going to satisfy the given inequation, right? Let's now move forward. Let's now take a look at rule number 3. So the rule number 3 says if we are multiplying or dividing by a negative number, what is going to happen? It tells us that the sign of the inequation is going to get reversed. Okay, so we must reverse the sign of the inequation if we are multiplying or dividing by a negative number. For example, we all know that 6 is less than 8, right? Now if you multiply both the sides by minus 2, 6 into minus 2, what do you get? You get minus 12. And 8 into minus 2, what do you get? Minus 16. Which one is bigger, minus 12 or minus 16? Obviously minus 12 is bigger. So we need to put inequality in this way, right? So you see the inequality sign is getting reversed, right? The same thing will happen if you divide by a negative number. For example, we can divide both the sides by minus 2. So 6 upon minus 2, that is equal to minus 3. 8 upon minus 2, that is equals to minus 4. Which one is bigger, minus 3 or minus 4? Obviously minus 3. So again you can see that the sign is getting reversed. So that you need to keep in mind when you are multiplying or dividing by a negative number. Don't forget to reverse the sign of the inequation. So this was pretty simple. Why? Because most of the rules that we have studied for equations, those can be applied here except for this rule number 3, which tells us that if we are multiplying or dividing by a negative number, the sign of the inequality must be reversed, right? So we can apply this for any question related to linear inequation. So let us now take a look at a question. Let us say we want to solve 2x minus 7 is greater than or equals to 9x plus 14. We can bring all the variables on one side and all the constants on the other side. How do we do that? Let's add 7 to both the sides. So we get this greater than or equals to 9x plus 14 plus 7, right? What do we get? On this side 2x, on the other side 9x plus 21. Now we can subtract 9x from both the sides. So we will get 2x minus 9x is greater than or equals to 9x plus 21 minus 9x. If you simplify this, the LHS will be minus 7x and the RHS would be 21. Minus 7x is greater than equals to 21. We can divide both the sides by minus 7. Minus 7x upon minus 7, that would be x. 21 upon minus 7, that would be minus 3. But remember, we are dividing by a negative number. That means we need to reverse the sign of the inequation. So we should be putting less than or equals to sign instead of greater than or equals to. Right? So this will be our answer. X can be a number that is less than or equals to minus 3. We can also write this same thing as minus infinity to minus 3 closed bracket at 3. Why? Because x could minus 3, right? So that's another way to write down the same thing, right? We will be writing it in this form going forward, right? So we have learned how to solve linear inequations. Now, what if we are dealing with an equation that involves a polynomial or a rational function? So, let's look at that now. Suppose we are trying to solve this inequation 1 upon x minus 3 is less than 0. Now, this here is a rational function, right? Because the numerator is a constant and denominator is a polynomial. How do we solve this? So, to solve this, I'm going to plot something here. I'm going to plot sine of x minus 3. Why am I doing this? Because you see 1 upon x minus 3 is less than 0. Everything depends on x minus 3. If x minus 3 is positive, 1 upon x minus 3 will also be positive. 1 divided by a positive number, it will be positive. But if we divide 1 by a negative number, we are going to get a negative number. Right? So this is why I'm going to plot sine of x minus 3, right? How do we plot a sine? We'll draw a number line and let's mark the numbers on it. So 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on, and here we have minus 1, minus 2, minus 3 and so on. Now 1 upon x minus 3, but we are plotting sine of x minus 3 because sine of x minus 3 and sine of 1 upon x minus 3 will be the same. Okay? Now if x is greater than 3, x minus 3 is going to be positive, right? If x is greater than 3, x minus 3 is going to be positive. So I'm going to put plus plus here because this denotes that if I pick a number on the right hand side of 3, my expression will be positive. Okay? Now on the left hand side of 3, all of it will be negative, right? No matter which number you pick from the left hand side of 3, it is going to give us negative number. X minus 3 will be negative. So what should be our answer? What do we want? We want 1 upon x minus 3 to be less than 0. That means x minus 3 must be negative. That is happening when x is less than 3. What will be our answer? You can pick any number from minus infinity to 3. So our answer will be x belongs to minus infinity to 3. Okay, now one point that you must notice here is that I'm putting open bracket at 3, not closed. Why? Because we are dealing with strict inequality. Apart from that, x minus 3 is in denominator, right? The denominator of a fraction can never be 0. The denominator of a rational number can never be 0. So keep this thing in mind while solving any question. You must not take a number which is making the denominator 0. Avoid those numbers, right? Let's take a look at another question. Let us say we are dealing with a 2-degree expression. X minus 1 into x minus 3 is greater than or equals to 0. How do we solve it? This time I'm going to plot the sign of x minus 1 first. Okay, what will be sign of x minus 1? Let's plot number line and draw numbers on it. Now on the right hand side of 1, if you pick a number on the right hand side of 1, for example 1.5 minus 1, it will be 0.5. It is positive, right? 2 minus 1, 1, positive. 3 minus 1, 2, positive, right? So on the right side of 1, if you pick a number and calculate x minus 1, that will be positive. But if you pick a number from the left hand side of 1, x minus 1 will be negative. So I'm going to put minuses here, right? Now next step, we are going to draw sign of x minus 3 in the same way. So if you pick a number more than 3, x minus 3 will be positive, and if you pick a number less than 3, x minus 3 will be negative. Now one thing that we must notice here, what do we want? We want multiplication of both to be positive, right? Multiplication of x minus 3 and x minus 1 must be positive. Multiplication of two numbers will be positive when both are positive or both are negative. So I'm going to divide this particular thing into 3 different regions. How? We have number line. I've highlighted 1 and 3. Now I'm going to draw vertical lines at 1 and 3. Why am I doing this? See on the right hand side of 3, x sign of x minus 1 is positive, sign of x minus 3 is also positive. If you multiply two positive numbers, you are going to get a positive number, right? Now between 1 and 3, x minus 1 positive, x minus 3 negative. A positive number and a negative number multiplied together will give us a negative number. Now on the left side of 1, x minus 1, sign of it is negative. Similarly, what's the sign of x minus 3? It is also negative. Two negatives multiplied together, we get a positive number, right? So the one that is drawn at the bottom, that is the sign of x minus 1 into x minus 3. What do we want? We want it to be greater than equals to 0, right? What will be our answer? Our answer will be that we can pick any x from minus infinity to 1 union 3 to infinity, right? Because as we can see, from minus infinity to 1 positive, 3 to infinity again positive. Why are we putting closed brackets at 1 and 3? Because x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 3 will make the expression 0, and we are fine with that because this also involves equality, right? X minus 1 into x minus 3 could be 0 also, right? I hope this is clear. I'm going to move on to the next question. We are again going to do the same exercise. We are going to plot sign of x minus 1 and then we will plot sign of x minus 3. We know for the sign of x minus 1, everything on the right hand side of 1. For that, the sign of x minus 1 will be positive, right? And if you pick a number on the left hand side of 1, x minus 1 is going to be negative, right? Similarly, for x minus 3, if you pick a number that is greater than 3, x minus 3 is going to be positive. And if you pick a number less than 3, x minus 3 is going to be negative, right? Now we want to plot sign of x minus 1 upon x minus 3. There are two expressions. We are taking their quotient. It will be positive if both are positive. or both are negative, right? So if we plot sine of x minus 1 upon x minus 3, what will we get? On the right hand side of 3, both are positive. If you divide two positives, you get a positive number. So this is the sine of x minus 1 upon x minus 3. Between 1 and 3, what's happening? Sine of x minus 1 is positive, but sine of x minus 3 is negative. If you divide a positive number by a negative number, you're always going to get a negative number. So we must be putting negative here. Now on the left side of 1, x minus 1 negative, x minus 3 negative. Divide two negative numbers, you will always get a positive number. So here it is positive. Now we have greater than equals to 0. Will 1 be included in our answer? Yes. Why? Because it makes numerator 0. If numerator of a rational number is 0, that rational number will be 0. So we are fine with that. But the denominator cannot be 0, right? So x cannot be equals to 3. X can be equal to 1, but it cannot be equal to 3. So how should we write our answer? We should be writing x belongs to minus infinity to 1, closed bracket at 1, union 3 to infinity, open bracket at 3. Why open bracket at 3? Because if x is equal to 3, this rational function will be undefined. If 0 is in the denominator, the rational number will be undefined. Okay, so this will be our answer. Let us say we want to solve this inequation, x minus 1 into 2 minus x into x minus 3 is greater than 0, right? The first thing that I'm going to draw here is sine of x minus 1. We will plot number line, and we know everything on the right hand side of 1. If you pick x from this region, x minus 1 will be positive, and if you pick x from this region, from the left side of 1, x minus 1 will be negative. Now the next one, I'm going to plot the sine of 2 minus x. Now here you should notice that it's not x minus 2, it's written as 2 minus x. If you pick a number bigger than 2, what will happen? It will be negative. 2 minus 2.5 minus 0.5, 2 minus 3 minus 1. So right hand side of 2 will be negative and left side of 2 will be positive. Why is it happening? Because here the coefficient of x is negative. Okay, so this will happen. You need to reverse the signs if we are dealing with an expression in which the coefficient of highest degree of x is negative. Okay, now we will plot sine of x minus 3. So on the right hand side of 3, if we pick a number, x minus 3 will be positive, and if you pick a number from the left hand side of 3, x minus 3 will be negative. Now let us look at sine of this particular expression, x minus 1 into 2 minus x into x minus 3. So what do we get? Let's look at these region by region. More than 3, right? When x is more than 3, what's happening? First one is positive, second is negative, third is positive. Two positive numbers and a negative number. If you multiply them, you are going to get a negative number, right? Between 2 and 3, x minus 1 positive, 2 minus x negative, x minus 3 negative. So two negatives, one positive. If you multiply them, you get a positive number. So here it will be positive. Between 1 and 2, what will happen? X minus 1 positive, 2 minus x positive, x minus 3 negative. Two positives, one negative. In total, negative. Now on the left side of 1, x minus 1 negative, 2 minus x positive, x minus 3 negative. Two negatives, one positive. If you multiply them, you are going to get a positive number. Okay, so what will be our answer in this case? So our answer is going to be minus infinity to 1 union 2 to 3, right? Why? Because we want it to be positive, so I'm picking the positive ones. This region and this region is what I am picking, right? And why open brackets everywhere? Because it is a strict inequality. If there was greater than equals to 0, we would have taken 1, 2 and 3 in our answer, but we can't here because it's a strict inequality. Now let us talk about something very interesting. Instead of plotting sine of x minus 1, 2 minus x minus 3, we could have applied a shortcut method known as wavy curve method. What method is it? It is basically a shortcut method, an algorithm that can help us in solving an inequality that involves polynomials or rational functions. Okay, it's a very efficient method. Let's look at this. Suppose we are dealing with an inequality involving a rational function, which is x minus a1 raised to the power n1 into x minus a2 raised to the power n2, x minus a3 raised to the power n3, x minus a4 raised to the power n4, and x minus a5 raised to the power n5. And we want it to be less than or equals to 0. It has to be negative or 0, should not be positive. That's what we want. We want to find all such x for which this is either negative or 0. Okay. Now here, if you notice, the coefficient of highest power of x in each expression is positive, right? We are dealing with 5 expressions: x minus a1, x minus a2, x minus a3, x minus a4 and x minus a5, right? So coefficient of highest degree of x is 1 in all of these. That's positive, so we don't have to make any adjustment here. We are good to proceed with this. Okay, now here one more thing is given, that is a1 is smallest, then a2, then a3, then a4, then a5, right? There has to be an order in these numbers, then only you can plot these on the number line, right? We need to begin with an assumption. And one more thing that we know is n1, n3 and n5 are odd numbers and n2 and n4 are even numbers. What's the use of these? We will be looking at those now. Okay, now what's the next step? The next step is plotting the zeros of all these expressions on the number line. So let's plot a number line and let's plot these numbers one by one. A5 is the biggest, so that will be on the extreme right. Then A4. On the left of A4 we will have A3. On the left of A3 we will have A2. And on the extreme left we will have A1, as it is the smallest of all 5. Now the third step is that the extreme right region will be positive, right? The extreme right region will be positive. Okay, so that's gonna remain positive. I'm plotting it like this. Okay, now between A4 and A5, okay, so here we need to focus on A5 now. A5, x minus a5 raised to the power n5. n5 is what? n5 is odd. So here the sign is going to change. Okay, if the power of the expression, see, we are around a5 right now, and what is a5? a5 is the 0 of x minus a5, and power of that expression is odd. If the power of that expression is odd, the sign is going to change, right? So this was positive here, now it will become negative, right? Now we are at a4. a4 is the 0 of x minus a4. x minus a4 has power n4. n4 is even. Whenever the power of the expression is even, the sign doesn't change. So in this region also it's gonna be negative. Okay, now we are at a3. We are standing at a3. a3 is the 0 of x minus a3. What's the power of x minus a3? It's an odd number or an even number? It's n3. n3 is odd, so the sign is going to change. So in this region it's going to be positive. Okay, now where are we standing? We are standing at a2. a2 is the 0 of x minus a2 that has power n2, and n2 is even, so the sign is not going to change around a2, so it will be positive. What about a1? We are now standing at a1, x minus a1, and power is odd, so sign is going to change here, right? So in this region it will be negative. So this is how we draw the curve. Okay, instead of writing plus minus, you can draw this curve and you see it's looking like a sinusoidal wave, right? This is why it is called a wavy curve method. We draw a wavy curve. Okay, so now we are not done yet. Our job is still left. What is left? We need to look at each individual point and figure out whether that point will be included in our answer or not. We know our answer, we want it to be less than equals to 0. So this region will be, the negative regions will be included. But what about the individual points A1, A2, A3, A4 and A5? We need to consider those also, right? So what about A1? Can x be equal to A1? If x is equal to A1, you see numerator becomes 0. That means entire expression will be equals to 0. Can that happen? Yes, that is allowed. Why? Because we don't have strict inequality, right? It's less than equals to. The expression could be equals to 0 and we need to consider those values. So x could be equals to A1. To represent that, I am drawing a solid circle at A1. Okay, what about A2? Can x be equal to A2? If x is equal to A2, the numerator again becomes 0. So we can include that in our answer. Again, a solid circle at A2. What about A3? It's also in the numerator. So it will make the numerator 0. So solid circle at A3. What about A4 and A5? X minus A4 and x minus A5 are in denominator. If x is equal to A4 or A5, it will make the denominator 0, which we don't want. So we must be putting hollow circles at A4 and A5. So let's now write the final answer. We want this thing to be less than or equals to 0. So where it can be 0 or negative. So x belongs to minus infinity to A1, right? Square bracket at A1, because at A1 the expression becomes 0. Now A1 to A2 will not be included, but we need to include A2. Why? Because at A2 the expression becomes 0. So we will take individual point A2, right? Because A2 to A3 interval is also positive, right? Because in the interval A2 to A3 the expression is positive. We want it to be either 0 or negative. So we will write the discrete point A2. Next one, where should we go? A3. A3 to A4 it is negative. A3 included, A4 not included. So open bracket around A4. Between A4 to A5 it is negative. So A4 comma A5. Right? That will be our final answer. So this is the solution set of the given inequation. I hope that's clear. Let's now take a look at a few questions. So the first one in the list is, we need to solve x minus 1 into x minus 2 into 1 minus 2x is greater than equals to 0. The first step is that the coefficient of highest degree of x in each expression must be positive. X minus 1, it's positive. X minus 2, again positive. But 1 minus 2x, the coefficient of x in this expression is negative. It is minus 2. We need to multiply by minus 1 on both the sides of the equation. When you do that, it becomes x minus 1, x minus 2 remains unaffected. But 1 minus 2x becomes 2x minus 1. And since we are multiplying by a negative number, the sign of the equation is going to change. So we must be putting less than or equals to 0. Now we are done with step 1. What's the step 2? We will plot a number line and we will plot the zeros of each expression. So let's do that. This is the number line. The 0 of this is x minus 2 is 2, 0 of x minus 1 is 1, and 0 of 2x minus 1 is half. Right? Now we know the extreme right will always be positive. Okay? Now around 2. What's the power of x minus 2? It's odd number. The power is 1. So the sign is going to change. We can put a negative here. Now we are standing at 1. 1 is the 0 of x minus 1. What's the power of x minus 1? It's 1. Odd number. Sign is again going to change. Now we are standing at half. Half is a 0 of 2x minus 1. That has power 1, which is odd. So sign is again going to change. right? Now let's look at individual points. What about x is equal to half? It makes 2x minus 1 0. We are fine with that. So a solid dot at half. Similarly, a solid dot at 1 and a solid dot at 2 as well, because all three expressions are in numerator, the denominator is 1, so we don't have to worry about that. Now what will be our answer? We want it to be less than equals to 0. So our answer is going to be x belongs to minus infinity to half, closed bracket at half, union 1 to 2. We want it to be negative, so we are picking this region and this region and including half, 1 and 2 in our answer, because it's not strict inequality. It is less than equals to 0. I hope that's clear. Let's now move forward. Let's now take a look at another question. We are dealing with x square plus 2 into x square minus 16 into x plus 3 is greater than 0. So here, let's look at each term. X square plus 2. Now, if you focus on x square plus 2, you will notice that this term is always positive. No matter which value of x you substitute, this is always going to give me a positive number. That means it is not going to affect the sign of our inequation. Right? So we can simply ignore that expression. X square plus 2 ignored. Why? Because it's always positive, right? Now, what are we dealing with? X square minus 16. We can write it as x minus 4 into x plus 4. So let's write it as x minus 4 into x plus 4. And x plus 3 is greater than 0. This time we are dealing with a strict inequality. Okay. So now we will verify step 1. Is the sign of leading coefficient of all the expressions positive? Yes, it is. X minus 4, leading coefficient 1. X plus 4, leading coefficient 1. X plus 3, leading coefficient 1. Okay. Step number 2. Plot the zeros of these on number line. What are the zeros? 4, minus 3 and minus 4. These are the zeros of this expression. Now, we know the extreme right is always positive. We are standing at 4. 4 is the 0 of x minus 4 power 1 odd number. Sign is going to change negative here. We are standing at minus 3, which is the 0 of x plus 3. The power of x plus 3 is an odd number. So the sign is going to change again. It's going to be positive in this region. Now we are standing at 4, which is the 0 of x plus. We are standing at minus 4, which is the 0 of x plus 4. Now, the power of x plus 4 is 1, which is odd. So the sign is again going to change negative here. Now, we can't include minus 4, minus 3 or 4 in our answer. Why? Because that will make the expression 0. We don't want it to be 0. We want it to be strictly positive. So we are going to put hollow circles at minus 4, minus 3 as well as 4. Right? So what will be our answer? We will pick positive regions but won't include the endpoints. So minus 4 to minus 3 union 4 to infinity. That is our answer. I hope that's clear. Let's now move on to the next question. So we are dealing with x into x plus 2 whole square into x minus 1 raised to the power 5 into 2x minus 3 into x minus 3 raised to the power 4 is greater than 0. In total, 5 expressions are present. Okay, but the good thing for us is that the leading coefficient of x in all the expressions is already positive. So we can go to step 2 directly. So we are going to plot the zeros of this given expression. What are the zeros? The zeros are 3, 3 by 2, 1, 0 and minus 2. Right? We know the extreme right is always positive. We are standing at 3. 3 is the 0 of x minus 3. The power of x minus 3 is 4, which is an even number. The sign is not going to change. So, again positive. We are standing at 3 by 2 now. 3 by 2 is the 0 of 2x minus 3. The power of 2x minus 3 is odd. It is 1. So, the sign is going to change negative here. We are standing at 1. 1 is the 0 of x minus 1. x minus 1 has power 5. Odd number, sign is going to change here. Now we are standing at 0. 0 is the 0 of x. So the power of x here is 1. Odd, it's gonna change. We are now standing at minus 2, which is the 0 of x plus 2, power 2, an even number. So the sign is not going to change, it's going to remain negative. What do we want? We want it to be greater than equals to 0. We need to pick positive regions. But what about these zeros? Do we need to include all of them or not? Yes, we need to include all of them. Why? Because whether x is 0 or minus 2 or 1 or 3 by 2 or 3, the expression will be 0, and we are fine with expression being 0. Why? Because it's not strict inequality, it is greater than equals to 0, right? So at every point, be it minus 2, 0, 1, 3 by 2 or 3, we are going to put solid dots, right? Okay, so what will be our answer? X belongs to positive regions we are going to pick, but we need to pick each and every point. So minus 2 will be picked. Okay, union 0 to 1, closed at both, union, and 3 by 2 to infinity, right? You can also write 3 by 2 to 3, closed bracket at both, union 3 to infinity, but that is same as writing 3 by 2 to infinity. Why? Because this includes the point 3 as well, right? Whether you take this and combine them or write that directly, it's the same thing. So you can also write the answer in another way. Instead of writing this, you can write 3 by 2 to 3, union 3 to infinity, close brackets at 3 by 2 as well as 3. That's also perfectly fine. So let's take a look at another question. Suppose we are dealing with 3 minus x into x minus 4 whole square divided by 2x minus 3 into 4x minus 5 whole cube, that is greater than 0, right? Now if you notice, the leading coefficient of x in 3 minus x, it is negative. So what should we do? We should make it positive by multiplying a minus 1. Okay, so this becomes x minus 3. The second one remains the same, x minus 4 whole square, and the denominator also remains the same, which is 2x minus 3 into 4x minus 5 whole cube. But the sign of the equation is going to change because we are multiplying by a negative number, right? We are multiplying by minus 1. The step number 2, we are going to plot these numbers, the zeros of these expressions on the number line. What are the numbers that we need to plot? 4, 3, 3 by 2 and 5 by 4, right? The extreme one is always positive, we know this. Okay, so positive. We are standing at 4. 4 is the 0 of x minus 4 and it has power 2, which is an even number. So the sign is going to remain positive here. Now we are standing at 3, which is the 0 of x minus 3. X minus 3 has power 1. So the sign is going to change here. Now we are standing at 3 by 2. 3 by 2 is the 0 of 2x minus 3. It has power 1, odd number, so the sign is going to change. Now we are standing at 5 by 4, which is 0 of 4x minus 5, and the power of 4x minus 5 is an odd number, so the sign is going to change. Okay, what do we want? We want it to be negative. We also need to take a look at each discrete point. What happens at 5 by 4? What happens at 3 by 2, 3 and 4? Do we need to include them in our answer or not? We don't need to include any of these points. Why? Because we don't want the expression to be 0, right? It's a strict inequality, so hollow dots at each of these points, right? So now let's write down the answer. We want this to be negative. It is negative in the region minus infinity to 5 by 4, union 3 by 2 to 3. It's negative only in these regions. That is our answer. I hope that's clear to everyone. Let's move on to another question. Suppose we are trying to solve this. This involves 7 expressions this time around. Okay, if you see, the leading coefficient of x in 3 minus x is negative. So we need to make it positive. right? How will we make it positive? We'll multiply by minus 1 raised to the power 3 because power of 3 minus x is 3. So minus 1 raised to the power 3 is same as minus 1. That means we are multiplying by a negative number. Okay, so our expression is x minus 1, x plus 1, x minus 2 whole square divided by x into x minus 3 whole cube into x minus 1 whole square into x plus 3, and this will be greater than equals to 0, right? Because we are multiplying by minus 1, the sign of the equation is going to change, right? Now the step number 2, we are going to plot the zeros of this expression on the number line. So let's do that. So what will be the first number that we should write? We should write 3, that's the biggest one, then 2, then 1, then 0, minus 1 and minus 3. If you notice, x minus 1 is present in the numerator and it is also present in the denominator, right? The power of x minus 1 is actually 1 here because the numerator and denominator will cancel. The power of the denominator is more, so it's all fine. Okay, if the power of the numerator is more, the power of x minus 1 term in the numerator is more, in that case we need to remember that we need to exclude 1 from our answer. If you are cancelling, you need to remember x cannot be equal to 1. Why? Because it will make the denominator 0. But if we cancel in this case, x minus 1 is remaining in the denominator, so that part will be taken care of automatically. Right? Now we know the extreme right will be positive. Okay, what's the power of x minus 3? It is 3. Odd number, sign will change. What's the power of x minus 2? It is 2. So the sign is not going to change. 1. What's the power of x minus 1? It's 1. So the sign is going to change. It will become positive. What about 0? The power of x is 1, the sign is going to change. What about x plus 1? The power is 1, the sign will change. What about x plus 3? The power is 1, the sign is going to change, it will become negative. Right? Now let's take a look at individual points. Can x be minus 3? No. Why? Because x plus 3 will become 0, which is in denominator. So a hollow dot at minus 3. What about minus 1? That's in the numerator, x plus 1. It could be 0. So solid dot at minus 1. What about x is equal to 0? It will make the denominator 0. We need to exclude this point, so a hollow circle at 0. What about x is equal to 1? It's in the denominator, so again a hollow circle adds 1. What about x is equal to 2? That's in the numerator. Okay, so we can include that point. What about x is equal to 3? X minus 3 is in denominator, so we can't include 3 in our answer. So hollow dot at 3. Okay, now let us write down our answer. We want this expression to be greater than or equals to 0. So we are going to pick positive regions. X belongs to minus 3, open bracket at minus 3 because of hollow dot. Now 1 minus 1, that will be closed bracket. Now union 0 to 1, open at both. Union 2 and 3 to infinity. This will be our answer. Let us say we are trying to solve this inequation. 3x minus 5 upon 2x minus 3 is less than 1 by 3. Okay, so how should we solve it? What we can do is we can bring that 1 by 3 to this side. So we will get 3x minus 5 divided by 2x minus 3 minus 1 by 3 is less than 0. Now we will take LCM and simplify. See, we can't cross multiply. Why? Because we do not know whether 2x minus 3 is always positive or negative, right? If we knew that a particular term is always positive, we could multiply. Or we knew if it is always negative, then also we could multiply by adjusting the sign of the in equation. But in this case we do not know. Sometimes 2x minus 3 will be positive, sometimes it will be negative. So we should not cross multiply. We should bring 1 by 3 to this side and solve. Okay. So here if you take LCM, you will get 9x minus 15 minus 2x plus 3 whole divided by 3 times 2x minus 3 is less than 0. If you simplify it further, you will get 7x minus 12 divided by 3 times of 2x minus 3 is less than 0. You should notice that this 3 is unnecessary here, right? 3 is not going to affect the sign of the expression, right? We are going to plot the wavy curve for this. So the first thing, we need to check whether the leading coefficient of all the expressions is positive or not. Fortunately, it is positive, so we don't have to multiply by a negative number and adjust the sign, right? So we can directly go to the step number 2. What is it? Plotting the zeros of this on the number line. The zeros of this expression are 12 by 7 and 3 by 2. 12 by 7 is bigger than 3 by 2, right? So 12 by 7 will come on the right and 3 by 2 will come on the left. Extreme right is always positive. 12 by 7 is the 0 of 7x minus 12. That has power 1, which is odd. So sign is going to change. Now we are standing at 3 by 2, which is the 0 of 2x minus 3. And if you see, 2x minus 3 has power 1, which is odd. So sign is going to change again. What do we want? We want it to be negative. What about the endpoints? 12 by 7 and 3 by 2. Both of these will not be included in our answer. Why? Because we don't want it to be equals to 0. This is a strict inequality. So hollow dots at both these points. What will be the answer? Our answer will be x belongs to 3 by 2 to 12 by 7. That will be the answer, right? I hope that's clear. Let's now move on to the next question. Let us say we want to solve this in equation, which is x minus 2 upon x plus 2 is greater than or equals to 2x minus 3 divided by 4x minus 1. Now again, we can't cross multiply. We need to solve. Okay, we need to bring everything on one side and solve. So I'm going to bring everything to LHS. X minus 2 upon x plus 2 minus 2x minus 3 divided by 4x minus 1 is greater than equals to 0. What's the next step? Taking LCM. Let's do that. If you do that, you are going to get 4x minus 1 into x minus 2 minus 2x minus 3 into x plus 2 whole divided by x plus 2 into 4x minus 1 is greater than or equals to 0. Now when you simplify this, you are going to get 4x square minus 9x plus 2. The multiplication of first two is going to give you this. Now the other two, if you multiply them, you are going to get 2x square plus x minus 6 whole divided by x plus 2 into 4x minus 1 that is greater than or equals to 0. Okay, now you see 4x square minus 2x square, that will lead us to 2x square minus 9x minus x minus 10x plus 2 plus 6. So let's go to next page and write it down. We are getting 2x square minus 10x plus 8 whole divided by x plus 2 into 4x minus 1 that is greater than or equals to 0, right? Not plus 1, this is minus 1. Okay, now you see 2 can be taken common from the numerator. If you do that, you will get 2 times x square minus 5x plus 4 whole divided by x plus 2 into 4x minus 1 is greater than equals to 0. That 2 is irredundant here. It doesn't have any role at all. So we can ignore that x square minus 5x plus 4, that can be factorized by splitting the middle term method. You will get x minus 1 into x minus 4 whole divided by x plus 2 into 4x minus 1 is greater than equals to 0. Now we can apply wavy curve method here to solve this, right? Everything is simplified. It is in the form that we want. Okay, so let's move on to the next page. Let's draw the wavy curve method for this. Okay, x minus 1 into x minus 4 divided by x plus 2 into 4x minus 1 is greater than equals to 0. All right. Fortunately, again, the leading coefficient of x in all the terms is positive. That means we can directly proceed to step number 2, right? Let's draw the number line. Now, what are the zeros? 1, 4, 1 by 4 and minus 2. 4 is the biggest one, then 1, then 1 by 4 and the smallest one is minus 2. Now we know extreme right will be positive. We are standing at 4, the power of x minus 4 is odd, so sign is going to change, negative. Now we are standing at 1, which is 0 of x minus 1, the power of x minus 1 is odd, so sign is going to change again, right? Similarly, at 1 by 4, sign will change, it will become negative. Again, the sign will change at minus 2. Now, we will look at individual points as well. Can x be minus 2? If x is minus 2, the denominator becomes 0. So hollow dot at minus 2. What about 1 upon 4? The same case. It will make the denominator 0. So hollow dot at 1 by 4. What about x is equal to 1? It makes the numerator 0. And we are perfectly fine with that. So solid dot at 1. Similarly, solid dot at 4 because it will make the numerator 0. Okay, let's write down the final answer. We want it to be greater than or equals to 0. So we need to pick positive regions as well as the solid dots. Okay, so answer will be x belonging to minus infinity to minus 2, open bracket at minus 2, union 1 by 4 to 1, closed bracket at 1, union 4 to infinity, closed bracket at 4 and open bracket at infinity as usual. So that is all for today's session. In the session, we learned how to solve linear inequations as well as the wavy curve method that can be used for solving the inequations that involve polynomials and rational functions. I hope all of you enjoyed the session. Thank you so much. We'll meet again in the next session.